Hello, today is the 11th of September, 2023. I want to discuss today a dog attack that occurred June 3rd in the city of Blytheville in Arkansas. And in this dog attack, it's actually a multiple dog attack. An elderly woman of 93 years old was mauled by 3 pit bull-like dogs or pit bull bred dogs. The victim's name was Jeanne Bennett, and the report here, as taken from dogsbite.org, says that a woman dies after a dog attack in Blytheville, Arkansas. So the Arkansas Police Department issued a media advisory stating that on August 15th, Jeane Bennett, 93 years old, died of injuries she sustained in a brutal pit bull mauling June 3rd. After the attack, Bennett was transported to Regional 1 Medical Center in Memphis, where she remained hospitalized until her death. So on August 16th, police arrested the owner of the 3 pit bulls, Mr. David Veazey, 43 years old, of Blytheville, and charged him with multiple felonies and other charges. At approximately 6:30 p.m. on June 3rd, Blytheville police officers were dispatched to the 900 block North Road about a person being attacked by multiple dogs. Officers arrived and found Bennett with family members in the backyard of her home, unconscious, with multiple bite wounds on her face and extremities, including injuries that exposed bone. According to witness statements, Veazey's 3 pit bulls, which resided next door, were in Bennett's backyard attacking the witness. Officers observed blood on all 3 dogs and dispatched or killed 2 of them on the scene. The 3rd pit bull was later euthanized by a local veterinarian. On August 16th, detectives obtained warrants for Veazey's arrest, who was taken into custody. Veazey faces 2 counts of felony aggravated assaults, which includes the use of a deadly weapon, and 2 counts of unlawful dog attack, misdemeanors, and various violations of city ordinances. Online Arkansas court records show that Veazey has a lengthy criminal background. The attack was so horrific to community members and local officials that the city of Blytheville proposed a pit bull ordinance less than 2 weeks later. It is unclear if that proposal gathered any traction. Also, in June, the owners of the 3 pit bull mixes that killed a 2-year-old in Arizona were charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a Class 2 felony in that state. As a comment, they put that we rarely see aggravated assault charges after a deadly dog mauling, which often speaks to human intent. So once again, here we have the latest cases, tragic and disturbingly sad cases of a person, this time an elderly woman of 93 years old, being pretty much killed by these wild beastie animals. And it is beyond disturbing to know that people with these types of dogs, let alone 3 of them, are so irresponsible. These people should be aware, should know, should be made aware that they have in their possession 3 deadly weapons. Living, thinking, moving animals, beings, entities that could act on their own at any time. These dog owners, this pit bull or aggressive dog owners, are often not the most responsible and caring individuals, as was the case here. Mr. Veazey, which had apparently, according to this report, an extensive criminal background, at least a criminal history of at least charges, if not incarcerations and convicted felonies. That tells you the type of people that owned these animals sometimes. Not all the times, of course, but quite often you see the owners of these very aggressive and dangerous animals are not the most responsible, responsive, or caring and organized people. These people often don't have the means, don't have the capacity, mental capacity, to keep these animals guarded, safe, very sturdily corralled. They don't have the resources, the place, the money sometimes, or the will many times to make sure these animals are not going to escape. They're not going to dig their way into someone else's backyard, or they're not going to get away from their confines. And often these people are away from home. They leave these animals to roam around their backyards, inside of their home. They may leave a window propped open or completely open where these animals could easily escape from the home. Many of these people leave doors ajar where dogs could easily just open them themselves and escape. There's 1,000,001 ways for these beasts to escape a home, whether it's a child that opens a door, inadvertently letting out the dog, or an adult carelessly leaves a door ajar, whether it's in the backyard, front door, whatever. There's 1,000,001 ways for these animals to escape. And if these animals are 1, not spayed, 2, highly aggressive, and 3, they have been not taken care of correctly throughout their lives, then these animals, on top of them being genetically very aggressive, they are probably going to be disturbed, mentally challenged, and many times abused animals. And, the definition of abuse, of course, varies depending who you ask, what time of day you ask it, and what part of the country you ask the question. But abuse could be just about anything that is not considered correct and good care. You may leave an animal for 12 hours straight, tied to a post, and that is considered animal abuse in many, many communities and municipalities. You may let an animal hungry or thirsty for long periods. That is abuse. You may leave an animal for over 24 hours by themselves alone, and that may be considered abuse, let alone having that animal be alone for longer periods, which many times occurs. And these animals are going to be frustrated. They're going to be, many times, they become aggressive. They become very anxious. They do have personalities. They do have a brain. They do have anxiety. They do have stress, just like people. Not exactly like people, but more or less like people do, through being exposed to extreme circumstances, whether it's weather, whether it's hunger, thirst. So these animals, of course, many of them are mistreated, maltreated, and even abused very often. And it is only an expectation for these animals to act out, to lash out, to attack, to go back to their most primitive and most primal and beastie behavior and attack people. In this case, was an elderly woman. This type of attack is quite my experience, and attacks to older folks and younger folks, kids, young people, toddlers, and infants are more common, a lot more common than attacks to people that are in their older ages, like older kids, teenagers, young adults, or younger individuals, older individuals that are not elderly, perhaps people in their health that are quite strong. These animals are quite reluctant to attack, although it does occur as well. So in this case, it was an elderly woman again, and it was an attack that was quite expected, especially by 3 pit bull-like breeds or pit bull-looking animals. They don't have to be purebred pit bulls. If they have any sort of pit bull in them, then they likely have the same aggressiveness, or a degree of the aggressiveness at least, of a pit bull. And this is a disturbing case, another one to add to the list, and hopefully one that will make people just that much more aware of these animals, the danger of the situation where these irresponsible and careless owners put neighbors in, the situation that those people put themselves and others in, whether they are aware or not. These people are a lot of times very ignorant, and their carelessness and their worries, their addictions, their problems, many times, oftentimes, prevent them from even recognizing the problem, the issue, the danger, the exposure that they are putting others in, and the risk of deadly attack they're putting themselves and others in. So people need to be aware of those people that have those animals that may be this way, that may not have enough resources to keep those animals locked up and safely secured. And people need to be aware that these animals are dangerous under the best of circumstances, let alone under standard or common circumstances, which is often the case, that people do not take care of these animals, do not raise them to be peaceful and loving. They do not take care of them mentally, physically, psychologically, as they should. And again, many times because they just simply cannot. They simply have to go to work. They simply have to leave these animals alone for long periods. They simply cannot take care of the animal 100% of the time in the correct way. So people need to be aware of this. People also need to push for legislation to ban these animals again, because of the very fact that so few people actually have the ability, the training, the obviously and frankly, the capacity, the mental and physical and situational capacity to take care of these animals. So legislation is necessary to utterly limit, if not outright ban, the possession of these animals, the keeping of these animals, and with very good reason, as the one that we just discussed of this poor elderly lady having been killed in her old age in a very, very gory and tragic way, to be witnessed by her loved ones at her home. And this is completely unacceptable, something that needs to be fixed, something that needs to be sorted by the community, and something that needs to be shared and pushed and amplified by those of us that care. So please share this content, share the awareness. I would like to hear your comments here on this channel podcast where I post this content. What is your mentality? What is your opinion on the banning of these dogs? Should these dogs be completely banned or very, very severely limited as far as who can have them, how they can have them, what resources they should have to have them, and how they should be raised? So please let me know, whether it's through email, comments, or by responding in any way to this content. Have a great day.